Right, can you guys hear me? If you're in the live chat on YouTube, type some message right now. I want to take a look. Are we live? Okay, so hello everyone.
Hello, welcome to Hack3 Online's opening ceremony. I hope everyone is staying safe at home, and we're super excited for this. Before we start, let's introduce our whole Hack3 team.
Hello, I'm Kevin.
Hello, I'm Jonathan.
Hey, I'm Anish.
Hello, I'm Vid.
And it seems like Ritesh is not here.
I'm here. Hello, I'm Hirsesh.
And hi, I am Shashank.
Okay, together we make up the organizing team behind Hack3. Hey Shashank, what's a fun fact about you?
I love Raspberry Pis. What about you?
Yeah, I also love Raspberry Pis, and I have a ton of them in the basement. And if you have a Raspberry Pi, show your support in the live stream chat right now. Okay. So let's hope that some people will post something. And then Shashank, do you want to take us on?
Sure. Anyways, let's dive straight into our opening ceremony. Let's get a few things out of the way. There are 3 things you need to do today.
First thing, you need to register at hack3.co. This is our registration form, and we need you to complete it before you can participate. Please go to hack3.co and click the register button. If you don't, you will not be eligible for judging at the end of the event. Number 2, click on the DevPost link after submitting the registration form and sign up on DevPost. DevPost is our judging website, so you'll need to have an account there in addition to submitting your own registration form. Finally, third, click on the Slack link after submitting and join our Slack. This is our community chat and where we'll make announcements like link to workshops. If you registered but forgot to follow these 2 steps, send us an email at team@hack3.co and we'll send you the details.
And after completing all 3 to-dos, you're all set. Now let's cover a bit about Hack3. We're a group of dedicated students from Massachusetts, United States. Hack3 is also a nonprofit, and we're committed to hosting the best hackathon possible for you. This is our first online hackathon, though, so things might go wrong, but just know that we're doing the best. And for our new hackers out there, Kevin, what's a hackathon?
Great question. So a hackathon is where teams try to use code, create something that can help the world. And as an added bonus, teams can also earn prizes for their hard work.
Cool. Is this a competition where you try to create the most efficient algorithms?
No, in a hackathon, teams can create any project using anything and any technology they want, but it should use some kind of code. It's extremely broad. You can make a web application, a desktop application, a mobile app, anything, as long as it solves a problem.
I see. And you mentioned teams. What are these in Hack3?
In Hack3, you can create teams of up to 4 people. With a team, you can divvy up the tasks and make everything happen faster. You can also work by yourself, but just know that with a team, you can work faster. In fact, we have a Slack channel dedicated to team formation. If you don't have one, post your skill sets there and message someone else to work with.
And what about people with no programming experience?
We'll host many workshops to teach you about programming. And we have a special prize just for beginners. All of us organizers are here right for you, so feel free to send us a message within Slack and we'll help you out. We'll cover more about this later, but we just wanted to let all of you know that we're here for you.
Great. And did you know that over 200 hackers from 20 countries signed up? Isn't that amazing?
That's awesome. It's a testament to how well our outreach team has spread the word.
But hey, I want to see some action. Let's get some support from hackers in our home state of Massachusetts. Go comment in our YouTube chat right now. And how about the East Coast of the United States? All of the United States now. Go show some support in our Hack3 chat. And now finally, and last but not least, let's get some comments from all of you participants in the world. We've got an incredible amount of diversity here, and we couldn't be happier.
Alright, now we're just going to give some brief info about the event. We've created a Slack server for you. Use the join link after registering at hack3.co. In our Slack, we have a channel for announcements, forming teams, workshops, asking questions just for organizers, like requests that don't need to be public, such as banning a user, and so much more, such as sponsor channels where you can ask questions to the sponsor.
One note though, if you're about to post something, make sure you follow the format posted at the top of the Slack channel.
As you're coding along, imagine that you run into something that you have no idea how to fix, and even Google doesn't help. This is where you can utilize our mentorship channel. You can post a request in the mentorship channel, and an online mentor can message you to help you out.
We hope that you will be able to arrange a quick video chat or just have a conversation within Slack to solve the issue or to simply answer your question. Even though we have many mentors, not all of them know a particular framework that you're using, so make sure to not take mentorships for granted. They're using valuable parts of their weekend to help you.
Next, we want to let you know about our workshops. We arranged quite a few, and we're thrilled that industry professionals will teach some of our workshops. You can see these on our website at hack3.co/schedule, and the links will be posted in the workshop channel on Slack.
You can view our full schedule at hack3.co/schedule, but in a nutshell, hacking starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and ends at 1 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. In between, you will manage your own time to attend workshops, program, record a presentation, but most importantly, sleep. We want you to be pumped up for tomorrow, and remember that you need to be energized to conduct a good presentation. So definitely remember to sleep. Judging happens from 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, and we'll be having a closing ceremony from 3:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, so now Anish will introduce us to our tracks.
Now let's introduce the themes. We have 3 tracks. In order to compete, you should create something that addresses a problem for the current pandemic, enhances recreation, or utilizes a new technology.
So yeah, any technology project that does anything in these 3 fields is fair game. For COVID-19, you could use technology to help with the fight. Some suggestions include using machine learning to help predict trends or create something to help healthcare workers. For recreation, some suggestions include building a virtual world, programming games, social networks, or multimedia experiences. And for new technology, some suggestions include using the latest cutting-edge technologies to create cool applications. Learn about novel techniques in blockchain or machine learning here at Hack3. As we noted, anything is eligible, but those are simply suggestions.
Okay, and now I'll cover a brief bit about submissions, and we'll send a lot more information tomorrow once everything is finalized. But in a nutshell, you will submit a project through DevPost, and you will also complete a Google form, and then this link will be sent in Slack. I highly recommend reserving 1 hour to 1 hour 30 for the entire submission process, just so that you don't get stressed out at the very end.
Now we're going to talk about our prizes. So our entire organizing team has done an amazing job coordinating prizes. Together with our sponsors, you can compete for a total of 11 prizes. Most of these are cool freebies and tools from our sponsors. Although we will also have some cash grants for you to push your project to the next level, the total value of all prizes exceeds $50,000.
We also have a myriad of resources for all participants, and you should check out hack3.co/resources for details. These are free goodies that our sponsors have stepped up to provide, so bookmark that tab and take advantage of them as you can.
We're giving awards to the 3 highest ranking teams, 1 from each track, as well as the best beginner team. The best beginner award goes to the team with at least 1 team member with no experience that ranks the highest. So if you're a beginner, you can still win cool goodies. We also have a popular choice award. While judges are ranking projects tomorrow, you can go through the projects and vote for one. The team that has the most votes will choose a charity, where Hack3 will donate the remaining funds to.
In addition to Hack3 prizes, we also have a number of sponsored prizes. For many prizes, you'll also need to opt in during submission, so please remember to do this. We'll send a lot more details as the time approaches in Slack.
One note, no team may win more than twice. So a total of 11 unique teams will win. We'll be distributing swag, cool t-shirts, etc. to the winners in the USA, as well as when shipping costs are reasonable, as determined by us. Good luck.
All right, and so we're speeding along our entire presentation, and our keynote speaker has been invited to jump on at 12:30. So we are way ahead of schedule, and right now I just kind of want to tell you guys all about our amazing workshops that we have coordinated for you. On hack3.co/schedule, for example, we are starting hacking at 1 p.m. But then at 1 o'clock, we also have a workshop that's called Introduction to Computer Science. I will be teaching this, and we will talk all about the basics of computer science so that even a beginner can get started. If you take this class, I highly recommend taking the next workshop at 2 p.m. called Java 1, Introduction to Java. This is being led by the software tech lead of StormGears. And StormGears is an amazing FIRST robotics team of over 60 members. And they go out and build robots that are award-winning at the world's level. And so we're extremely excited to be inviting their lead of their entire software team over here to teach that. This is also for beginners, and we'll touch on converting the basics of computer science that you learn at 1 p.m. with the Introduction to Computer Science, but actually writing that in Java. At 3 p.m., they'll teach you about building a calculator in Java. And at 4 p.m., they'll move on to more advanced topics, so beyond the calculator, right? And so if you have a little bit of experience, then I highly recommend jumping in, say, at 3 p.m. to build a calculator in Java to learn more. All right, and then at 2 p.m. we also have a workshop that's called Building a Chatbot with an Amazon Web Services Engineer. We're so excited to be inviting some people all the way from companies like Amazon to be teaching these. These are the top engineers in the entire industry, and we couldn't be happier to have them come here to teach you. So definitely please take advantage of this. At 5 p.m. we have one that's called How to Collaborate on Code Projects in GitHub. So if you have 4 team members, how do all of them come together to build projects, right? And you might be wondering this, which is why we're going to be introducing something called Git and GitHub. And then this is extremely useful for all of you. We also have a workshop on what is cloud. And then at 7 p.m., we're going to have something on neural networks to talk about AI and machine learning, right? These are some of the fastest growing things in the tech industry. And so definitely come for that. At 8 p.m., we're going to talk, we're inviting some people from Echo AR to talk about building an augmented reality app in only 15 minutes. And Echo AR is an extremely fast growing startup. Couldn't be happier to have them here. At 9 p.m., you can learn on how to create a workshop, learn how to create a website. And tomorrow at 10 a.m., we're going to have a lesson on how to pitch projects from Vikram Ananta. He's the co-instructor of the KT-Byte Advanced Robotics Hub. Now, this is essentially like a startup incubator, you can imagine, in that everyone comes together in the KT-Byte Robotics Advanced Club to just try to program things. And they go on to invention conventions to pitch. And they've gone on to go on like CBS News, which is really amazing. So Vikram Ananta is going to teach you how to pitch your project. We also have some organizer chats like 1:30 p.m. today, as well as 12 o'clock tomorrow, to just talk about getting assistance for submitting projects, or just if you have any questions. And yeah, that's all I really wanted to cover right here for the workshops. And then it seems like some people have been posting things in the live chat, so if it doesn't matter with you guys, I'll start covering them. So there's one question in YouTube: can a beginner team also win one of the top 3 awards? And that is absolutely. where we really want beginners to come and compete. And so in addition to qualifying to some of the numerous awards that we have, for all of the teams, beginner teams can also qualify for the beginner award. And so let's just go through our dev post right now. hack3.devpost.com is where we keep some of this information. So we have over $50,000 in prizes. Most of this are in free tools that you can use, like the stuff at hack3.co/resources. So as you can see, we've got first place prize, second place, etc., like they just covered before. And most of these have a bit of a cash reward. And then all of you guys get some stuff as well. But for the beginner project, you guys will have to opt in. So while you are submitting, you guys will opt in to one of these awards, and then you will qualify. If you're like an advanced programmer, you guys automatically, or everyone automatically qualifies for winning the first place, second place, third place, etc. But you guys can opt in for like best beginner project, best usage of server, etc. I just received another question as well. Is it a live pitch or are we submitting a video demo on DevPost? Great question. We're actually going to have you guys submit video demos on DevPost. By the way, keep the questions coming along. I really like this. So the live pitch is kind of what you might see at a real hackathon, like in-person hackathon. What you will need to submit is everything that's needed for a normal submission on DevPost, including like tweet-sized bit, so like a general summary of what your project does, as well as, oh, our keynote speaker has just joined, and I'm just going to finish up this question real quick. You guys will submit a video demo on DevPost as well as some descriptions. And we have 3 teams of 3 judges each who will come and then go through that together. But you will not be there. So they will discuss among themselves and they will view your demo video and possibly if you're pitching. Can we attend all workshops? You can come to as many as you need. And we've got them all booked up from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. tonight. So many workshops, definitely come to that. And how do we know if we are in a team or not? We really want you guys to take advantage of all of the team forming activities. So in our Slack, form a new team, invite some new members if you're only a team of 3 or 2. So definitely try to get into a team. And we don't want to prevent you from expanding your team or anything. So teams are what you submit at submission point. So when you are submitting, just to specify who is in your team. And then so you'll need to give the other team members emails. And then what are some tips of what to include in your presentation? That will be covered in our, let's see, 10 a.m. Workshop with Vikram. And does everyone have to submit a video? Each team has a submission. And we generally recommend that teams submit a video. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do right now. And let's welcome on our keynote speaker. He is Prat Moog. And then let me just read his bio right now. Yeah, so Prat Moog is the founder and CEO of Kazina, which is a fast-growing startup with a mission to make data lakes for AI and machine learning easy for all enterprises. Previously, he was Senior Vice President at IBM Netezza, a market leader in big data appliances. Pratt has also been a serial entrepreneur, and he was the president of TI Boston, where he led a group of 150 successful entrepreneurs to mentor, invest in, and accelerate Boston-based startups. Pratt started his career at Bell Labs, and he holds several patents and received a PhD in engineering from UCLA. So let's welcome on Pratt, and yeah. Okay.
Good. Can Brad hear us? Brad, can you hear us? Sure, yes.
Hello, testing.
Maybe he has a. Let me.
Hey guys, just give us a minute. We're having some technical difficulties. Thank you.
Let me see text him and kind of follow through.
Right.
Hey Jonathan, do you want to keep answering questions?
Yeah. Let's continue answering questions. Can you guys see me? Yeah. Let's continue to answer some questions, and I've got some in a list. So keep submitting those through the YouTube live stream, and I'll get to them as soon as possible. So what are tips of what no, I already answered that. And does everyone need to submit a video or just one person? I also just answered that. And what qualifies a team as beginner? This is actually pretty interesting. And we want beginner teams to have at least one person with no experience. So it doesn't really matter if you've got, say, 3 people with some experience. As long as you have one person with no experience, then that's good. The goal is so that all of us can, so that everyone else in the team can support that beginner and teach them, just so that it's a very inclusive environment. So if you already have some experience, invite a beginner so that you can qualify for those prizes. Yeah. And how long is the video supposed to be? Video is supposed to be 2 minutes long around. So just if you guys can show your faces in like, and then say like hello, then include a demo, then that would be great. We want teams to spend 5 minutes around for judges to evaluate the teams. So don't make it longer than, say, 4. If you are at 3, then that's the longest you should be. All right. So, hey, Pratt, can you hear me? Oh, I think you're muted right now.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yep. Yeah. So this is our keynote speaker. Welcome, and get started.
Awesome. Give me 1 second. I'm going to. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. So I'm super excited to see you guys all together trying to build something new, and want to thank all the organizers for putting in a lot of hard work on the weekend. I know it's not easy to bring the hackers together, mentors, judges, and all that. So really excited to see this energy in Boston. So I'm going to spend a few minutes just taking you through my journey, and I'm encouraging all of you guys to build and build now. And when I'm talking about building, my perspective is more about you get into a hackathon, you have an idea, you build some software, a cool app, maybe. But after you've done that, what next? And so in my mind, building means you take these ideas and you actually convert them into a startup. In many cases, you build a product, you take it out to the market. So I just wanted to essentially motivate as many of you as possible to think about doing startups. The earlier you do them, I think the better it is. And obviously, you got to juggle that with all your schoolwork and all that. But so this is my sort of call to say, build now. And my specific journey, I have done, I've lost count, but at least 4 startups, and I have done very different kinds of startups. Everything from currently I'm in a startup called Kazina, which is a cloud data lake startup. So we're making it easy for companies to use the cloud and the new stack essentially to do AI and ML. And they can do that without any operational people. So sort of zero ops, instant data lake. But before this startup, I did one on appliances where we were selling big iron. You see those boxes on the screen. We used to sell these appliances. They used to cost like $1 million a box. And we built a very successful company called Netezza, which is now part of IBM. And we had great success. And we had customers like TJ Maxx, for example. They would bring in all their data into these appliances, and then they would do a whole bunch of analytics on what do people want to buy, for example. Before that, I did a startup in database security. It turns out that 60% of all data theft actually happens because some insiders that have credentials essentially hack into databases and steal a whole bunch of credit cards and other confidential information. So we did a product that in real time could catch anomalies and figure out when it's an insider that's masquerading, and we could catch that in real time. I've done a startup in video streaming, which was essentially about guaranteeing the quality of video. So like if you're thinking about Zoom right now or any of these current applications like Google Meet, how do you make sure that you get a good quality stream? So my point is there's so many great ideas out there. I've done many. There's some that I was involved with, at least 10 angel investments. I am very active in mentoring early entrepreneurs. So those of you who start a startup and need help, there's a lot of help we can provide here, including the whole Thai group is very helpful. And then I've at least done 5 ideas where the ideas never got built out, but like we spent a good few months prototyping and building code, but we didn't have the time, or the time wasn't right. So why build? Right? I mean, maybe this is obvious to all of you because you've signed up for the hackathon, but I'm thinking when I say build, again, I'm talking about taking it all the way. So why do startups? My experience is that they are awesome, right? When you go through a startup, the highs that you experience are highs that you never experience otherwise. And also, by the way, the lows that you experience are not the lows that you've experienced otherwise. There's also huge personal growth with these startups. And the reason I say this is, it's one thing to learn Python, data science, you come up with a cool app and you get going. But when you have to put a team together and you got to actually solve a problem together, you go through a lot of interesting learning experiences, how to work with a team. And then you're actually selling your product into the market with customers. You realize how hard selling is. So when you go through this whole startup experience, there's one part which is all technical, but then there's this whole part of teams and selling. And when you've gone through that experience, you will personally have grown significantly. So that's a big reason why you want to take your idea and convert it into a startup. It's gotten a lot easier to do startups now, to build apps, online courses, Git, AWS, that's like the foundation. And then why now? Particularly now, it's a great time to build because as you can see, look around, the economy, the market, there's a lot of disillusionment around on what we believe in, what our values are. You have the way out of this, particularly your generation now. And that's all about being bold, being positive, thinking about all the big problems of today, inequality, climate, and there's many, many more. Pick a big problem and start chipping away at it. I mean, that's the way to solve out of it. There's a great essay by Mark Andreessen that I encourage all of you to read. It's at the Andreessen Horowitz site. The link's on there. There's also a podcast. And Mark talks about, how we build our way out of what's going on. And his view is that we've accepted, see how long it takes to build the vaccine, see how long it takes to distribute the vaccine to everyone. Look at all the racial problems we got. So we got very fundamental problems, right? Not even just the rocket science problems, like not having masks, right? Not having protective equipment, not having very basic infrastructure. And so the only way you solve that is essentially build. So it's actually the best time is when everything is cratering, is when you build. Now, it takes a lot to do startups. Startups look glamorous. And when you watch all these like TV shows and Shark Tank and all of that, you sort of feel like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to build an idea. I'm going to go pitch. I'm going to get money, and then I'm going to get rich in like 9 months, right? That is not a typical startup. It takes a lot of time and energy and grit. Typical startup launch times are somewhere between 3 to 5 years, and it requires tremendous amount of multitasking and focus at the same time. And this is not, many of us are, we're not good at it. I wasn't good at it when I started. When I was a young kid, I would be very easily distracted. And so what's important is to be able to focus and multitask at the same time. But if you have constant curiosity, a passion, and sort of sense of optimism that you will solve any of these issues, then you got what it takes. And this cartoon, it's sort of showing you the difference between a typical corporate job and startup. And this is not intended to say that corporate jobs are easy. They're actually a lot of hard work as well. But the kind of constant personal grinding that you have to do in a startup is at a different scale. So just be aware of that. Are you guys able to hear me okay?
Yep.
How do you build? Like, great, you got into this hackathon, you build some cool app, maybe it does 1 or 2 things, which is awesome. That's, by the way you get started. But it's that starting thing that is the hardest. So the fact that you are here and you're trying to put your effort and learning new skills and trying to build something, that's actually the hardest step, and you've done that, which is great. So you have an idea, give it a cool name. It's really important to get a colleague, in my experience, because it's a lonely business, and you want somebody that you can divide the work, you can vent with them, and you can balance your skills out. And then it's really important to test your idea on at least one prospective customer. I meet many entrepreneurs who have great ideas, but when I ask them, have you actually gone and talked to people that you're trying to sell to? It's amazing that they don't do that, because it's not easy sometimes to go and find the prospective customer. So it's really important that you validate your idea. And then what I would encourage you to do is build a plan as you're building your app or your idea out, so that you can demonstrate demos as you add more features every month to this customer, and just make sure you're on the right path. Now, assuming you built something and the customer loves it, and you're getting good feedback, now you got to start to think about how you want to sell or position this idea in the market. And this is where most startups fail. This is the hardest step in a startup. It's sometimes called product market fit. Or will the dogs eat the dog food, right? That's the key question. And what I would encourage all of you to do is, if you're hacking away at an idea now, describe your idea in a few paragraphs and start with the why you're doing what you're doing. Then move to what, meaning what does your idea do? And then how do you actually implement it? What's novel about what you're doing? It's amazing how many ideas are all about the what and the how, and many people don't focus on the why. And it's the why that has to start first, and then you surround it with the what and the how. And then you write this down in 2 paragraphs, and you send it to all the smart people right? It could be your friends, it could be your advisors, it could be your family or people that and send it out to all your network. Maybe it's the senior friends that you have that are in colleges or people in startups, and get as much feedback as you can. Now, you get 3 types of feedback to your idea. You either have folks that come back and say, oh, I love it, everything is great. You get ideas that say, hey, I don't think it makes sense. And then you get ideas where somebody says, hey, I like this thing, but I can see certain issues and you got to fix them. You want those guys that give you that kind of feedback because it's clear they've spent time, they've thought it through, and take that third group and iterate your idea based on their feedback. So go fix things. It's in the startup land, it's called pivoting. So you want to pivot your idea based on this feedback. You want to shape it, and then you want to focus on maybe selling to one application versus the other, certain kinds of buyers. Maybe it's about pricing. Maybe it's about how you sell your idea. Is it a SaaS idea? It's a software idea? Is it something else? Is it a vertical application? So this is the place where most startups fail. And so it's really important that you focus and make sure it's not just about getting a cool idea. It's about actually developing a killer idea. There's a big difference between cool and killer ideas. So anybody notice what's common between these ideas that I put up here? So obviously all of you've seen the first idea. That was the Segway. By the way, it was the last Segway, I think, went into production or sometime earlier this year. The next idea was the Amazon Fire Phone, which also died. And then obviously we see the Google Glass. So these three ideas are excellent ideas. They were excellent ideas. They were, by the way, backed by some of the top entrepreneurs who had, by the way, other successes before. But yet these ideas failed. And it's because none of them achieved what is called as the product market fit. The Segway, it was very confusing when it first came out. It cost $4,000 and they weren't sure where to point it to. Why would people want the Segway? So they made it a broad application. And because they made it so broad, they didn't focus on the right features that one set of users cared about deeply. So it's really important to find a narrow set of users, build your product exactly for them, and make sure you get a religious feedback from them. They love it. And before you start broadening out. The same thing happened with the Fire Phone. When Amazon brought the Fire Phone out, it seemed like a great idea because the whole idea was a deep connection to the whole retail e-commerce channel. Except we had the Apple iPhone, we had Samsung in the market, we had Google with Nexus phone back then, and there were several others. So it was a really crowded market. And with the Fire Phone, it was hard to distinguish because, again, it was done as a broad platform with applications along with retail angle, and it didn't exactly stand out. So again, maybe a tighter focus on retail would have served them well. And then Google Glass, obviously, many of you know about this. The Google Glass failed again because it did not serve a clear unmet need. So make sure you spend a lot of time on this product market fit issue. It usually takes a long time before you can find if your ideas work or not. So you end up wasting a lot of time, years sometimes, before you say, hey, it's not working. So the earlier you can iterate and get feedback from those early customers and make sure you're pointed in the right way, the better off you are. Now, when you do a product, you got to get a team together. You got to go sell to customers. By the way, you got to raise capital because when you hire people and you want them to work for your idea all the time, full time, you need to pay them, right? So how do you manage all of that? And I find that, again, many people who are doing their first startup have this question of, how do I get going? And how do I build out? And what I've seen is it's a really hard one because it's almost like going from 0 to 1. That's a nonlinear step. So I use this analogy, what I call it, as a spiral of infinite energy. True entrepreneurs figure out they have a force that guides them. And what that force is all about is about, behaving and execute like that spiral that's shown on this slide, where you make tiny steps on the product. Maybe you just build a small prototype, and then you have one person join you, so you're making advances from one axis to the other. Then maybe you go convince your first friendly customer to start testing it, and then you go to your rich uncle or aunt, and you get the first $20,000, right? Now you started navigating along a very small spiral there, and that allows you to build more things on the product, and that allows you to add one more person on the team. It gets you one more customer, and then you go and raise more money. And this is the spiral that all good entrepreneurs are great at. And so it's like magic, but the key is they got to work all these 4 things in tandem. It's not one thing, and then after that you go serially to the next thing. But if you can get this thing going, it's like magic, and it's amazing what people can achieve with so little. So I would sort of encourage all of you to think about, when you're thinking about your idea and your team and your customers, and then if you need money and you want to raise money, think about it in a way where you create a plan and you keep making progress on all these 4 dimensions, but you just have to make small enough progress on each axis to help you make progress on the next one. So this is my last slide, but again, I would sort of leave you guys with this thinking that you have a tremendous opportunity. You are, many of you, and I think most of you are high schoolers, and so you're at the right spot with the right skills. If you don't have skills, you can pick them up, but you have this tremendous support system at a time when we need builders like you to come up with ideas and put them to work. And when I say ideas, I often find people have ideas which have a lot of buzzwords on them, like I'm going to do this and I'm going to connect it with that, and then I'm going to connect it with that. And nothing wrong with having novel technologies, but the most important thing is why. What's the problem you're trying to solve? Why is it going to make a difference to the world? I mean, if you look at Amazon, it's a great example of how Amazon got started with maniacal focus on one thing, which was the bookstores, right? The online bookstores. People forget about that. And then that spun up many, many other ideas, but it was that maniacal focus on making it really easy for everyone to consume books. That's how the whole platform got started. And so when you're thinking about your idea, make sure you're building something that's meaningful, something that's exciting enough that you wake up and you say, this is going to make a difference. And it's worth all the heartache because we're changing the world. And by the way, your ideas can change, and they often do. Nothing wrong with that. But you want to start with what sometimes is called a big, hairy goal, BHAG. And so when you start with that, over time, as you chip away, you're always going to feel like you're helping solve a problem. So with that, I'll turn it over if you guys have any questions.
All right, fantastic. That was great. We've got a few questions over here. The first one is, how do you qualify a killer idea? If you want to jump back.
How do you qualify a killer idea? I would go back to this slide. I would say write down your idea. It is amazing how how things get clarified when you write them down. And so I would say you write down your idea in 2 or 3 paragraphs. One paragraph's about why, another paragraph about what, and then how. And so talk about who you're selling your idea to. Why do you think what's the challenge they face? What's the pain point today? And and many startups, by the way, make the mistake where they think they have a great idea, but they don't actually go talk to the customer to find out how those customers are actually meeting that need today. Your idea will only work if you are addressing what is called as an unmet need. And so what's important is you got to go talk to customers to find out how they're doing things today. Is it inefficient? Is it costing them a lot of heartache? And you want to quantify that pain. And then once you understand that, that when you're solving something, it's actually going to solve a meaningful problem. So focus on the why. Then the next thing is what. This is also very critical. This is about being able to describe your idea in a way where all customers can quickly understand what is it that you do. It's amazing how many companies will come and pitch what they're doing, and most people in the audience have no idea what they're talking about. But there's lots of these buzzwords. But at the end of the day, they're like, so what? You'll often see this in Shark Tank when there's a clever idea, but the entrepreneurs have trouble figuring out what this thing is. So being able to describe very quickly what your idea is and positioning it, figuring out who you're selling it to, that's all the what. And then the how is, how you're going to get it done. What's novel, in the way you're building this, are you building something that's proprietary? It's hard for people to do it. What is the cool thing about it? Why won't other people be able to do it? I think that's the third thing you want to address. So I would say if you're honest about writing this down, then send it to as many people as you can. Many entrepreneurs are very focused on keeping their ideas secret, so that they're like, hey, what happens if somebody steals my idea or comes up with the same idea? I would say don't worry about it, because the hardest part in a startup is not the idea, it's the execution. And that's not a one night or a 1 week affair. It takes months and years. So send the idea out to as many people and honestly go through their feedback, and then iterate. That's the way you build a killer idea.
All right. Another question is, how would you make your idea stand out compared to competitors, if there are any?
That's a great question. A lot of the modern products out there, it's all about being able to carefully understand who's your customer, who's the competition, and what is it that differentiates you from those competitors. I'll give you a great example. We did a startup called Neteza, and we were the first ones to take what is called as data warehousing software. This is like analytics software. And we were the first ones to put it in a hardware box, like the one you see up on the screen there. And we were the first ones to add a hardware accelerator so that a query could run 100 times faster. And so when this appliance came out, we had this whole, but we were fighting companies that were 10 or 100 times bigger than us. And so we were an upstart, and we had to punch them in their face, right, in terms of our marketing and messaging. And that's what we did. We took on big competitors, far bigger, but we called it the fastest, data warehouse appliance on the planet. And we very clearly said, look, all you have to do is test this out, and we will prove to you that your queries run 10 to 100 times faster. And if you don't experience it, we will take this appliance back. Now, back then, there was no cloud when we did this company. So we had to actually ship this appliance, which was a lot of expense. Customers tried it out. And if they didn't like it, we were basically giving them a money back guarantee to say, we're going to take it back. Guess what? None of these pilots, the appliances came back, because all these customers saw that they got a much faster experience. And that's essentially how Neteza became successful. So for your idea, think about how you're going to market it, how you're going to position it, and then also think about how the customer can get hands on your idea, your software or your application in a frictionless way. And then, whatever promises you make, you got to deliver those promises in terms of that experience. If they see that work, then you're going to start to see a viral community build, and that viral community is going to differentiate you against all the competitors.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. And I think that we can end it around here. Do you have any final words or anything?
No, I'm just super excited, and good luck for all the hackers, and go build something.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Brad.
Rich.
Okay, bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. And so right now, we're just going to go through some final rules that we want to touch on. And let's see. Is that sharing it correctly? Yeah, so just some final rules that we want to touch on. and then we can get you guys started. All right, can you guys all see this? Cool.
All right. So last but not least, let's go over some ground rules. So obviously, as we stated explicitly, high schoolers only. You must either be enrolled in high school in the 2020-2021 school year or have graduated this year from high school to compete. Obviously, we're doing this since we want a level playing field, so there are really no exceptions to this rule. Obviously, unspoken social conduct applies here, as it should everywhere. So basically, just give us, your teammates, and other participants good behavior. Essentially, just don't be a bad person. Just be on your normal behavior. Yeah, I'll hand it over to Vid.
If your behavior comes into question during Hack 3, it is our decision to take the necessary action to keep things running smoothly. We don't want to sound like a broken record here, but please make this fun for yourselves. This is a friendly competition, and this is not an opportunity to assert your dominance on all who exist after all. Really, this shouldn't come to a surprise to you, as to you. So just be yourselves and make this a fun learning experience with a hint of competition added to it. Shank.
Yep. We really want you to learn here. So we're not allowing old or recycled or reused projects. So you have to submit a new project if you want us to judge it, and we do not accept submissions for multiple hackathons. You can read our full rules at hack3.devpost.com/rules.
And finally, we just want to thank all of the dedicated judges, mentors, and workshop teachers who are helping to make Hack 3 a reality, and for you for attending. Our judges are among the best in the industry and work at places like Amazon, Harvard University, Wikipedia, NetApp, and First. We really want to thank all of them for taking the time to judge your projects later on tomorrow. And finally, we want to thank all of our sponsors because they have continued, because their continued support has made Hack 3 a reality. And in the midst of a pandemic, they stepped up to support us.
Yeah. Now I want to hand it off to the star of the show. You guys. From all of us at the organizing team, thank you so much for coming, and happy hacking. Come chat with us during our organizer chat at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and send us a message on Slack. And good luck to all of you. From all of us at Hack3.
Yeah.
Happy hacking.
Happy hacking.
Yeah, hacking.
Thanks, guys.
I think we can